video. There is a quick turnaround to the next game week, which is game week 14, being that it starts tomorrow, Tuesday. So the deadline for game week 14 is on a Tuesday. So that gives us really little time to put through as many videos as would have wanted. So this is kind of video whereby we'll be able to compact together a number of different topics. We'll, for example, go through my review of game week 13, look at how my team selection for game week 14 is looking, look at the possible assets and FPL good assets that I think were the best performers in the previous game week and those that we should look to bring in, and also a few updates on some assets who got injured in the weekend and some key replacements. So getting directly straight in, my review for my game week 13, I had a score of 63 points, not the best, slightly above average. Raya did obviously concede 2 goals in a match which Gabriel and Saka did take control of. Saka was someone I did talk about in the game week 13 deadline. I did have an option of bringing either him or Joao Pedro in, and I went with Joao Pedro, and I knew it was going to hurt me at some point, but I didn't think it would be that soon. But obviously, he's going to be one of the key people that I've brought in going forward. I'll talk about that later. In my defense, 8 Nori, they did concede, I think, 4 goals. Bournemouth went on a whole of different goals. They conceded a number of penalties. They didn't return. George Robinson also did concede. Konsa, obviously, yesterday conceded 3 goals. In my midfield is where I got at least most of my returns, with Bruno Fernandes coming up with at least 2 assets. Mbuemo, Brentford is scoring, but for some reason he's not getting involved in the points. Son, someone to be looked at in my team. I think going forward is going to be one of those to be replaced if he doesn't pick up the pace very soon, because yesterday he did play in the number 9 role. Solanke was out with an illness, but still wasn't as sharp as we expect him usually to be. My captain was Cole Palmer. I had a decision to make between the two, Cole Palmer and Salah, and good enough, I think both of them did return. So either way, whoever went with who, still it was a good weekend for both of them. They both scored and assisted as well. Palmer came through with the 28 points, Salah with the 13 points, and obviously Cunha as well wasn't able to get involved in the goals, as Strand Larsen was the one that scored most of the goals for Wolves. So like I've mentioned, my bench, obviously Raul had 2 points, Fabianski conceded 5 goals, and I think had a yellow card as well for one of the penalties he created, so he was at a -1. Greaves is back, and it's glad to have him back. Lewis as well played in midfield, but not much impact for Manchester City. So going through directly to how my team is going to be looking. In goal, I'm contemplating between Fabianski, who has a good fixture against Leicester, and Raya, who has a pretty, I think, average or difficult fixture against Manchester United. That's a decision I'll make as the week goes on. My defense, I think Wolves do have a good fixture. Yes, it's away and they're conceding a lot of goals. Nori hasn't returned, I think, in a while now, but I feel like it's a good fixture, so he'll be in my defense together with Robinson. And then in my defense as well, it's between Greaves. That third position will be between Greaves and Konsa. They both have, I think, good fixtures, but I think Ipswich does look good to me when it's at home. They play a bit better when they're at home, and Aston Villa seems to really be conceding a lot of goals. In my midfield, I definitely have the same team. The only inclusion that I've mentioned is Saka. He's back into my team. So I'd expect Bruno Fernandes and Saka, who are playing themselves, unfortunately. I think this is the last chance I'm giving to Son. He has, I think, an average, not a bad fixture against Bournemouth. Then Cole Palmer, who's likely to be my captain because Southampton is out. I think Howard Bellis is out. Dibling is out. I feel like they are not, yes, they'll be home, but I feel like they look like they're going to concede. But as we know, FPL, it could be a 1-0 for Southampton. But right now, my armband is on Cole Palmer, and the vice would be Salah, who has Newcastle as well. Then in my forward, I'll be having Joao Pedro and Cunha, who are both playing some good fixtures, though away. That's how my team would be looking. Now, to look at some of the key assets, there are some of us that want to make some changes, for example, to our goalkeepers. One of the key, I think, defenses and fixtures that has come up is Robert Sanchez. He did keep a clean sheet yesterday. Chelsea's fixtures look good, together with Brighton, as we've mentioned, and I think Arsenal as well look good. But those that are looking to make some good changes in their goalkeepers, obviously, besides someone like Raya, who's projected to score a number of good points over the next 5 game weeks, we have someone like Sanchez, who looks very good. And as you can see, his fixtures in the next, I think, 7, 8 fixtures, the only difficult fixture or the only red fixture is Spurs. Other than that, they have quite a number of good fixtures in there: Southampton, Ipswich, Everton. So you expect them to at least keep a number of clean sheets. The other person would be Bad Verbruggen, because as we mentioned, also Brighton's fixtures look good. They have Leicester, they have West Ham, they have Fulham, a couple of away games and a couple of home games, but Bat continues to look good as well. So with that mentioned, obviously that goes without saying that their defenses are also good enough. So the likes of Gabriel, who we'll talk about later, Timber, the likes of Van Eyck, all those also going to be good. Now going to our mid defense, as I've mentioned, Jury and Timber I think is a standout at a very budget price, because we did notice Calafiori got off with an injury. Gabriel did get substituted off, but he did confirm on his Twitter handle that he'll see you next on Wednesday. So we do expect him to be in contention, at least to play the midweek games. He got subbed off and got rested enough, so we do expect him back. For those that have him, like I mentioned on the deadline stream, that if you did have him, considering it was Arteta's updates, it's better to always just keep him in the team. And good enough, he did come through for most of you with a goal and an assist. Yeah, but looking at the Arsenal defense, I think Julian Timber continues to look good. He looks nailed in that position, and now that we know that Rice is out for a while. The other defender we can look at is Cucurella, back to the Chelsea defense. I think he's nailed in that position. We do know James is out. Gusto, I think, has also a bit of a knock. So in the number 3 position, it does look nailed. It does looks good going forward as well, and does provide assists in here and there. So if he gets a good assist and keeps a clean sheet, that's a haul for you. And his fixtures, like I mentioned, for Chelsea, they all continue to look very, very good. Now, going to our midfield, we have a discussion over the likes of Mbuemo. Most of you have been asking who are the best Mbuemo replacements. Now, with Gerard Bowen, for me, is the standout. He's a bit costly, it's some bit of a price, but he does look, his fixtures look good, and he's also always involved in West Ham's attacking returns going forward. Now they play Leicester next, they play Wolves, they play Southampton in the next fixtures up until they play Liverpool. I feel like their fixtures look very good. So for those that are trying to see how to either get a replacement for Mbuemo or this and that, I think Bowen does look good. The other option is Mitoma. This goes back to the same Brighton discussion. Mitoma looks good. Both him and both him and Bowen have, I think, 3 goals and 3 assists so far this season. So they do look very, very good and very good potential replacements going forward for any midfield asset. Going to the forwards, we did note that Isak did get injured. Isak did get injured and was subbed off, I think, in the 20-something minute for Newcastle. So some of you may be looking for replacements. Obviously, Wood's fixtures take a turn as well. So for those of us that are trying to look for replacements for either Isak or Wood, we are yet to confirm whether Isak's injury is long-term. But even if it is, I think Evan Nilsson looks good. For those that have Semenyo, you may not want to double up on Bournemouth, but in case you do not have Semenyo, who will be back this game week, you can have a look at Evan Nilsson. I think out of the Spurs fixture, which is not even that difficult, their fixtures for the next 6-7 game weeks look good. They play Ipswich, they play Fulham, they play. So I think they do Everton as well. They do look quite good, and I think some of those players to avoid are the Everton, because their fixtures really take a bad turn. So those of us that have Everton assets, I think some of these replacements may come in handy for you. The other standout striker, I think, is Nicholas Jackson. He came through with another goal. For those that own him, I personally do not, but I do love how he's playing, how he's getting more involved, and how he's more clinical than he was the previous season. Unlike Darwin Nunes, who has not yet improved his finishing, I feel like Nicholas Jackson has taken a turn, and he's looking very good. At least every 2 chances, he does score at least 1 out of the 2. He did get subbed up early on, which should be a good sign, I think, for those that have him, that he should be able to feature in the midweek, because as we mentioned in December, the fixtures come quick, so some of those rests may be required. But so if someone like Jackson got off in the 70 something minute, I think that's a good sign that he should be in contention to start in the midweek. The fixtures for Chelsea are a no-brainer. Starting with the game week 14 itself, looks very good, and all the way up to, I think, game week 22, the fixture is going to look good until when they get to play Man City. Some of those are the standouts in each position that I do believe look good. Going back to my team selection, uh, right now I think it's just going to be between the captaincy, whether to go with a Salah who plays Newcastle that is not looking very good, or to stick to Cole Palmer, and also the conundrum on the goalkeepers, whether Raya against Manchester United, or Fabianski against Leicester, and also my defense of Greaves against Crystal Palace, or Konsa against Brentford. Other than that, I think that's pretty much for today. I should not leave without mentioning a shout out to one of my loyal subscribers, Kai Rahim. Happy birthday to you. He's a history buff, but still managed to get time in for sports. Extra History is one of his favorite channels. FPL responsibly, and catch you next time.